Welcome to Loco Gringo, Mexico, the place where we transform a tourist into a traveler, because you deserve to see more of the world than just what's in a guidebook. Each week, we talk with amazing locals who know the Riviera Maya and Yucatan like only a local can, and get them to share their tips and insights on the local scene, culture, and cuisine from a local's perspective. So, pour yourself a margarita, grab a comfy chair, and let's get the show going.
Hi everyone, this is Kay Walton here with Loco Gringo. So glad to have you with us today. Well, if you have an adventuresome spirit or you're a foodie, you want to listen to today's guest. Margo Guenther hails from the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and she lives in Tulum, Mexico. She has so much information to share, you don't want to miss any of it. So let's get the show going. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Today we're talking to Margo Guenther, who lives in Tulum. Hey, Margo, how are you today?
I'm good, Kay. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, man. I'm so glad we're having the opportunity to talk because, I don't think people really realize is that, the Riviera Maya is about 60 miles long and we all know each other, and it's more like we wave as we pass each other on the highway or on the street, but we don't get a lot of opportunity to hang out. So I'm really glad we could have this time together today.
It's really true, Kay. I've always wanted to spend more time with you.
So, Margo, let's back up. I know that you had told me before that you're from rural Washington State, and so how does a country girl wind up in the Riviera Maya or Tulum?
I'm still asking myself the same question. And it's cute because it's, of course, a question that I get asked a lot. And it's fun to hear that I have different answers depending on the situation. But I never had, I maybe had never even heard of Tulum. Of course, everybody's seen pictures of the Tulum ruins, but I had never, I don't think I'd ever heard of it. And I was living in a small town, and I owned a spa in a mineralized lake town. So it was a town that should be a tourist town, but it wasn't. So I was spending a lot of time going to meetings trying to save this dying tourist town. And one of the jokes I used to say was, I could be working in a yoga resort in Costa Rica or something like that. And this friend of mine got wind of that, and one day he sent me a link on email. This was before Facebook, of this place called Xamach in the Sian Ka'an Biosphere near Tulum. And he said, well, I don't know anybody in Costa Rica, but I know this guy with this place in Mexico. So I wrote him back and I said, well, if this is an invitation, I accept. And that kind of put him on the spot. And so he called up his friend that owned this place and said, I'd like to bring this friend of mine down here. And he was told by the owner that they didn't have a manager and they weren't sure if they were going to be able to open it up this year or not, because he didn't know who was going to run it. And so my friend tells him, oh, well, I've got just the girl for you. She'd be perfect for this, blah, 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 blah. I really wasn't looking to leave where I was. I owned a home. I owned a business. My family was there. I thought I'd be there the rest of my life. But the next thing I knew, I was on the phone with the owner, and he basically told me that it was an easy job and that I should come down, and my thoughts were, anyway, 4 days later, I was there.
Well, I have to laugh. Now, the property that Margo's talking about is located down in the Sian Ka'an Biosphere. And I had to laugh. Was the owner Howie?
No, it was Dan.
Or Dan, sorry. Yeah, Dan.
Dan. Howie bought into it later.
Okay, so this is funny because, it's a really easy job. Now, Sian Ka'an, for people who don't know, is a biosphere. There isn't any electricity. There isn't water. A lot of coconuts, though. Yeah, real easy job, Margo. And this is what year was this? I forget. You mentioned 2000 what? 2006. So yeah, real easy job in 2006 to be down in the biosphere, and there's not a lot of neighbors nearby, are there?
No. In fact, at that time, the road was so bad it's only 19 miles from Tulum, but it took 2 hours to get there in a big truck. The road was so bad, and that was before any kind of real services went down the road. So I had to travel that 2 hours to town and another 2 hours back just to get groceries and beer and everything. I mean, the only thing that came down the road was tortillas, but you had to sit out on the road and wait for the guy to come, and he might come anywhere between 3 and 4 if he came at all, and you just had to sit and wait for him to come by. But it was also, like you said, we didn't have any electricity. We didn't have internet. I had to drive about 5 miles to make a phone call, which was actually on this bay that was just drop dead gorgeous. Just one of the most beautiful bays you'll ever see in your life. And it's still known to some people as Oficina Margo, the office of Margo.
Oh, cute.
It was definitely a challenging job. So, like I said, I had intended to just come down for the winter. With my spa in the States, our high season was summer, and in Mexico, the high season was winter. So I expected I would just go down and help them out for the winter and then come back and resume my life. I literally put a gone fishing sign on my business. But when I went back, I sold my business, and I've been living in Tulum full time now it'll be 10 years in October.
Well, you've seen a lot of changes in Tulum in the last 10 years, haven't you?
I have. I was in the Sian Ka'an for 2.5 years. I was at Xamach for 2, and then I went further down the road to the end of the road to Punta Allen and was with Nikki at Serenidad Shardon there for a season before I moved into Tulum. So we've definitely seen some changes in the last 10 years in both the Sian Ka'an and Tulum.
No, for sure. And actually, I will say, I was recently in Punta Allen, which is at the end of the Sian Ka'an Road. And, it's cleaned up quite a bit. There's a lot more services. I don't go down there often. Actually, the drive was hideous back in March. Now the road's graded, so it's been great. But even Punta Allen's kind of grown with the times. They have the little Zocalo, the Central Park there, has got a nice statue, and they claim themselves as like the permit capital of the world. Permits a fish, a big fish that's real popular with the fly fishermen.
Well, it's really one of the best fishing commercial or sports fishing places in the world, where you can get the Grand Slam, as they call it, the permit, the bonefish, and
permit snook? No,
snick would be the fourth one. Tarpon, that's it. But yeah, I've really seen a lot of growth in Punta Allen, and it's all been good. I think there's a lot more tourism happening down there because they bring Jeep tours down, and so many of the people in Punta Allen have been able to stay there because they have good work. Where in a lot of the prominently Mayan towns, the young people go to the bigger tourist areas to work. And so that's we're seeing kind of the end of the way of life of these smaller Mayan villages, where in Punta Allen I say they're fat and happy because they've got good food and good work, and so you're seeing a lot more multi-generational families there, which I really like.
Oh, no, that's beautiful.
That's happened in Punta Allen is you can get there now by boat. There's a boat service that leaves from just 3 miles inside the reserve and takes you on the inside up through the lagoons to Punta Allen, and it only takes about an hour, and it's beautiful. Wow. And it costs less than $20 a person to do it. And
is there a name to that service, or where can people pick up that? And will they take tourists, or is it more like the collectivo of boats?
No, they'll take tourists, but the interesting part of it is what they're doing is they're filling up their tour boats. So they come out of Punta Allen in the morning to pick up the people coming in to do the eco tours in Punta Allen. So when they come from Punta Allen, their boat is empty. So now they're filling that empty boat with people for transportation. And so to be able to take the boat to Punta Allen, you have to spend the night, because you're going up in the afternoon on the boat that just brought the tourists back to Tulum, and coming back in the morning on the empty boat going to get tourists. So yes, you can
awesome.
go by boat, but that forces you to spend the night. But I actually say if you're going to go to Punta Allen, you should spend at least 2 nights, if not 3, to really see what's there. I see, because I've been associated with Sian Ka'an a big part of the time I've been there, I get told a lot by people, well, we went up there and we just didn't get it. You know, it was a long ways up there. The road was really difficult, and we got there and we just couldn't really see what there was to do. And what I tell people is that's because it's not really a day trip. And also there's a lot you could be doing along the way if you took your time and stopped and swam and did things like that, where most people are just, oh, we got to get to Punta Allen. And then they just drive in, they see that Zocalo. There's only one restaurant that's visible if you do that, and then they turn around and go back. But actually, if you stay in town, there's about 6 really good restaurants in Punta Allen. There's several really good hotels. My favorite is Serenidad Shardon, which is owned by one of my best friends, Nikki. But there's quite a few others up there now. So if you can get up there, it's a good place, and it's a small town, and it's the kind of place that a lot of people are wanting to come to when they come to Mexico. And you know, the places like where you and I live have really changed over the years, where Punta Allen has changed a little bit, but not so much. A lot of people are looking for palapas and Corona and lobster and fish, and that's what Punta Allen's all about.
Now, I really think, when I was there in March and we drove down, I would have liked to have stayed the day. You know, I went down. I had my typical cold beer at the end of the road, some fish. But I saw the boats going out. I would have loved to have gone out and either snorkeled or taken a tour on a boat just to go around the point of the island and everything. There's the old lighthouse that's at the very end of the road. So no, I think Punta Allen's fun, and I think it's definitely for those who want an adventuresome spirit and a different experience.
Yeah, those boat trips are amazing. You get to see dolphins and giant turtles in their natural habitat. They take you around, like you said, to see the lighthouse and into the lagoon side, because it's the end of a peninsula, so it's completely surrounded by water. And on the inland side is freshwater, and so there's all different kinds of birds. The Sian Ka'an Biosphere boasts like 350 different species of birds, and you see quite a few of them on those boat tours. And then they take you out to really secluded places to snorkel. So it is really worth the time. But the thing that I like the most about Punta Allen is the people. So there's a lot of Mayan families that live there and work there, and also a lot of pretty eccentric expats that are there mostly in the winters. And it's quite an interesting community, and they really interact well, and I think it's really an inspiring place, honestly. I don't get up there nearly as often as I would like to anymore.
Okay, I have a question for you, Margo. Have you ever taken the boat from Punta Allen and gone to the mainland? Where there's
it only takes about 5 minutes.
It takes about 5 minutes. Now, did you know, and you probably, it might still be there, that there used to be not a caboose, a train engine, because there was a single gauge railroad that ran from Felipe Carrillo Puerto to that lighthouse at Vigia Chico.
I'll be darned. Yeah, I maybe knew that somewhere in my past. But one of the things that's interesting about the people of Punta Allen is they didn't used to come in and out on the road to Tulum. Their families and their place where they were going to and from was Carrillo Puerto, like you said.
Exactly.
And so at that time, I think it's still true, Punta Allen doesn't have a high school. So if kids go on to high school, they usually go live with an aunt or something in Carrillo Puerto. So you can there's a colectivo or a van that you can catch in Carrillo Puerto, which is on the mainland of the Yucatan Peninsula. and you get on this another really bumpy road coming in the other side of the Sian Ka'an Biosphere for about an hour and a half, and then you get off at the shore of Villa Chico, and then you go on a 5-minute boat ride, and you're all of a sudden in Punta Allen. I did it one time when I lived up there.
Yeah, I've done it one time too. That road coming in from Carrillo Puerto was pretty rough back in the day when I went. But it's super interesting. So, Margo, I have to ask you, what are you doing in Tulum now? You've been, you've had your time doing property management and all in the Sian Ka'an and Punta Allen. What holds you in Tulum now and keeps you busy?
Well, when I left Punta Allen, I was again doing property management on the beaches of Tulum. I was the first manager of a new house that was built next to La Zebra for just one season. The owners were Canadians, so they were there part of the year, and I managed it the first part of the year when they weren't there. And then after that, it was interesting because I had been a massage therapist. I was a registered nurse, and then I was a massage therapist in the States. And after 3 years of doing property management, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I wish I could just go back to doing massage. But I found that the hotels and stuff in Tulum didn't pay very well. And I wished that I could just, isn't there just some way I could just do massage on my own? And when I worked at Xamach, I got popular on the travel forums, one of which is locogringo.com. Thank you, Kay.
Ooh, yay.
And I wasn't initially popular for massage. I was initially popular because I was one of the only gringos on the internet at the time, you and I. And so people kind of treated me like I was their friend in Tulum. And when I took that job in Tulum managing that house, one of the things that people don't know about house management is there's a lot of waiting. You're always waiting for something. You're waiting for the guest to come. You're waiting for the guest to leave. You're waiting for him to go to dinner. You're waiting for him to come back. But also the services. You're waiting for the gas to come. You're waiting for the water to come. You're waiting for your staff to come. You're waiting for your staff to leave. So having come out of a no internet zone, how I filled my time was on the internet. And I was spending a lot of time on these travel forums like Loco Gringo. And I was also having the time of my life after having been 2 hours from the closest restaurant. I was all of a sudden on the Tulum beach, and my new friends were the really, really talented musicians of Tulum. Tulum has a very unique concentration of world-class musicians, and somehow I ended up their friend. And so I was managing the house by day and going out and hearing music by night, and then coming on to these travel forums and posting these pictures of this amazing food and this great music and me having this just amazing time. And all these people at that time, we have to remember this is before Facebook. A lot of these people that were populating these travel forums of Tulum and the Riviera Maya were mostly people who had started coming down here before Cancun was really much of a thing. And Playa del Carmen was a fishing village and Acamal was a ranch, right? And so to have a gringa, as we know, chick on the beach of Tulum posting these pictures, people just really fell in love with my life. And they wanted to know all about it and all that. And one day, as I was leaving the job managing the house, one of the guys who was active on the forum wrote and said, my wife and I are coming to Tulum and we've had a really rough year. And I'd really like to get her a massage, but I don't think she would go to one of the big spas. You're a massage therapist, right? Can't you just come to our room and give us a massage? And one of the rules on the travel forums is that you're not allowed to promote yourself. But if someone asks you a question, you may answer it. And so that was my ticket. And I went literally, I went to Hotmail and got Margo in Mexico massage at hotmail.com and wrote him back and said, yes, and this is how you can contact me. And then he did me the favor of then asking me what style of massage I gave and where I was trained, which I then answered. And actually the massage inquiry thread on that travel forum is still one of the longest threads they've got. Within 2 hours, I had 8 other massages booked. And
wow.
2 months, that's what I was doing for a living. And it's what I've done for a living ever since. So 8 years of that. So the miracles of the internet are something I'm extremely grateful for. I still get 100% of my business through word of mouth on the internet. If you Google massage in Tulum, I don't come up first, but I come up first with a reasonable price.
That's great. So, Margo, is massage where your passion and your heart lie, or is it just? I mean, is it something that you just? It's one of the. It's your calling in life, and you've got that passion for it, or do you have anything else that really grounds you, where you can say this is just so me?
Well, I'm so grateful that I went to massage school. I was a registered nurse before that, and there was just a lot about working as a nurse that I didn't resonate with. And as it turns out, I'm really quite a gifted massage therapist, and I really, 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 really love giving massage. And it led me to what my real passion is, and they segue really well together. Before I ever moved to Mexico, I was a pretty typical American. I was pretty overweight in a job I didn't enjoy, in a relationship that wasn't fulfilling me, and I had really severe chronic pain. And as most people do, I just lived with it until one day I got a wake-up call where I realized, oh my God, this isn't going away. And apparently I'm the one that's supposed to do something about it. It's always kind of a shock for people when they find themselves in that position. And interestingly enough, at the time when that happened to me, I was working part-time as a nurse, and that was when I was opening my spa. I just finished massage school. And so while I was working 60, 70 hours a week, I didn't have insurance. The barbaric country that I come from doesn't believe that that's a right of their people. So there I was in a situation that most people would have turned to their doctor for first a prescription for pain medication and muscle relaxers, which I would have gotten addicted to. I'm just the type. And then I would have gotten a referral to a surgeon who would have really believed his services were my only option. There I was without either of those options. And so I had to figure out what to do about my pain on my own. And as I look back, I'm super grateful I didn't have insurance, because what I developed, what I figured out is that my pain was something I could do something about, and it was mostly caused by bad posture and extreme stress. And so as I solved it for myself, and it worked, of course, I started using it with my clients in my massage business in the States, and it worked for them as well. And over the years, I developed a program I call my Feel Good Way. And that's my real passion. And what I teach people is that it's fun and easy to really lower your chronic pain and stress. And since most of my clients in Mexico are coming from, working in New York and Los Angeles and in really, really, really stressful lives, what I teach them in just a short amount of time, they're able to take home and make real changes in their life. So when I first started teaching it in the States, it was to my chronic pain clients, and I did it over a series of appointments. And then when I moved to Mexico, I tried to condense that 8 hours of learning into, an hour massage, and that didn't work very well. And so I invented what I call my Feel Good Massage, which is what I basically lecture you about what you can do while you're receiving a massage. And I do promise them that by the time we get to the end of the massage, I will shut up and let you have some just quiet relaxation time on the table as well. And that became really a popular option on my menu. And then I had a group of clients come and they asked me, all of them wanted the feel good massage. So I said, well, why don't I just teach it as a class and then teach you the whole thing at once? Because it's very universal. We all have many of the same issues that we don't know we have. And so I taught it to them as a sit-down class, and it went really, really well. And so that was the beginning of my Feel Good Way classes, which I taught for many years in Tulum once a week at the restaurant in Xamach, there on the hotel zone. And my students were mostly tourists on vacation that had heard about how successful the program was. And so I'm going to do some more of those classes in Tulum this next high season. I'm also working on a book and some online classes that people can be able to learn about these things without coming to Tulum. So that's been really a neat evolution of my work. I've really been able to hone how I teach it and how people receive it. The most common response after the class is that, oh my God, it just makes so much sense. And so a lot of it is stuff that maybe people have heard before, but the unique part of how I teach it is that I give you things that you do while you walk around in your life. If I give you stuff that you have to set aside time for, you're not going to do it, or you might do it for a short time and then stop. But it's really the habits that we have while we're walking around in our lives that are causing much of our chronic pain and stress. And so if we can break those habits and replace them with better habits, then you're good to go. So that's been great to be able to incorporate that with my massage business.
Oh no, I can hear the passion in your voice and the enthusiasm, and now I'm kind of going, yeah, I'm stressed out. I could use some Margo feel good.
Yeah.
Who couldn't though, right? You know, we all need it.
And that's really true. The culture that we're coming from, and you know, you and I sitting in Mexico and seeing these people coming to the Riviera Maya for some relief of that stress that they're under. One of the things that I sometimes say is that people aren't really even worth talking to till they've been there at least 3 days, because they're just, you know, their lives are just so stressful, and it's really difficult to drop that stress and enjoy a vacation. So it's great when people can get a massage or something like that early in their vacation to help them along with that. But then also it's great. I often, most of my massages are done for couples where I do both sides of a couple. And a lot of times they'll both have the feel-good massage, and then they have a shared language that then they have the rest of their vacation to talk about and to practice. And I give permission to nag. And so it really becomes an integral part of their vacation. I've also started doing what I call personal retreats, because this, you know, hour and a half that I spend teaching my basics of the Feel Good Way is just really the tip of the iceberg of what I have to offer from what I've learned that really works for myself and for other people, that I now have groups of people or couples or just individuals who will hire me to help them do a personal retreat. A lot of people like the idea of a retreat, but they don't really want to be one of a group of people that they don't know, and, you know, kind of at the mercy of that group mentality. Yet people are really finding that they now know that they need to make some major changes in their life to be able to survive the world we're in. People are just finding themselves really suffering from stress and pain. And so now what I'm offering to a lot of people is I call them just a personal feel-good retreat. And I can help them decide, maybe even where they're going to stay and such. And then we'll start usually in the evening. They arrive, I'll come into their hotel room and give them a nice massage and then leave them to enjoy their evening, and then we'll start in the morning with classes, and that be taught on their beautiful hotel or walking on the beach, or also as a registered nurse, I have a lot of experience with nutritional counseling and different things, but just a lot of ways to teach people how to have the new personal habits that they need to make the changes that they need to make to really live the fulfilling lives that they're longing to live. And over the course of their vacation, they can really, really learn enough to take home and practice. And then with the beauty of Skype, as you and I are now experiencing, when they leave Tulum, that's not the end of their contact with me. I do a lot of Skype counseling and other long distance work with people now to help them integrate what they've learned in paradise into their real lives. So the miracles of communication that we have now have really given us some interesting tools to use to be able to continue learning throughout our lives. I'm a fan.
No, so am I. So am I. Well, Margo, I have to ask. Everybody I talk to, this is always a great opportunity. We talk about people coming down on vacation, and we want people to really have a good local feel and experience some of the things that make the area special and magical to us. And so it begs the question, do you have any secret spots or little gems in the area that you're willing to share to people that, if they're coming down, they really need to make the effort to indulge in?
Yeah, it's funny because back in the original Travel Forum days, I had some of those secret spots that I gave out, and now those are some of the most popular places in Tulum. And so I have some that I share, but I have some that I keep secret.
We want the secret ones. Those are the ones I want. You know that.
Well, one of my favorite places on the Tulum beach is Xamach, and I don't know how much of a secret it is, but one of my main reasons for loving it so much is the live music. It's such an amazing setting, and they have such world-class musicians that play there in the high season just about every night. And so I just love the atmosphere there. There's also been a lot of hotels, or not hotels, but restaurants pop up on the jungle side of Tulum. That's one of the things that has really changed in my time living here. When I first moved here, to get to the Sian Ka'an, you drive down the Tulum beach road past the Tulum hotel zone. And at that time, there was only one thing on the jungle side of the Tulum road, and that was Casa Banana. And at that time, it was just a tiny little restaurant that was main function was to serve breakfast to the hotel guests at Nueva Vida de Romero. But now, since we got so popular, and I'm very grateful that the Mayan calendar decided to end, because that really made Tulum into a boom town. And now the jungle side of the Tulum Road is just one restaurant and shop after another. And the one of those that really stands out for me is Senzontle. It's a really, really beautiful atmosphere. It's right across from Akin on the jungle side of the road, and they call themselves the Secret Garden, and that's what it feels like. It feels like you walked into somebody's garden in the 1920s, and the food is fantastic and really fresh, and the people there just seem so happy. The chefs are singing, and one of the things people ask me all the time is, well, what do you think about this substantial growth that Tulum has undertaken over the last 4 years? And, we could argue and debate about that all day long, whether it's good or bad. And I'm not usually up for that debate. So my pat answer is, yeah, but the food just gets better and better. And when I moved to Sian Ka'an, I had to drive all the way to Playa del Carmen to buy butter. And I was managing a seafood restaurant. And so butter was a fairly important ingredient. And now, I mean, we've got organic gluten-free cornmeal, you know, and it's like really Tulum has changed in the food department a lot. So I really, really love going to places like Sensontle because they have chefs that are really adventurous in using local ingredients and also some of these newer ingredients that didn't used to be available and fusioning them into just stuff that is, I didn't even know this kind of a food existed on the planet. It's so delicious.
So what's the chance of getting tabled? Do I need to make a reservation? I mean, or can you still walk in and get served, or how's that working?
It depends on the time of year. In peak high season, I would recommend a reservation. You can do that easily by through their website or by stopping in there in the afternoon. They're just open in the evenings. And if you're in a big group at any time of year, I would definitely make a reservation. But they do a lot of, Tulum is pretty popular for weddings and stuff. So a lot of people will do their rehearsal
reception
and receptions and stuff like that. Yeah, so definitely go through either their Facebook page or their website to make a reservation.
Wow,
Another one of my secret ones on the beach side is Tita Tulum, and it's one of the older hotels.
I love Tita.
The main reason why I still love it is it's probably the only place on the Tulum beach that still looks exactly like it looked when I got there.
Yes, it does.
And I shouldn't have opened my mouth, but there it is. And unfortunately, Tita has passed away, which is really, really sad. But I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that her heirs will keep it the way it is. Another one that is still the same as when I got here is Dos Cebas. And I don't know if you heard, but Elvira got Dos Cebas back after it was not hers for a couple of years. And
great. When you said that, it surprised me because I had thought they were closed. And it is one place in all my years I have not been to.
It's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's a really romantic place for dinners. But another thing that I really like about Dos Cebas is that Elvira is very active in the spiritual community of Tulum. And a lot of people are coming to Tulum now because of the Mayan calendar and because of the spiritual side of Tulum. And that was one of the homes of that. So she often hosts new moon and full moon ceremonies, and she used to have classes about the Mayan calendar. I'm hoping that she resumes those again. And also she does universal dances of peace there once a week, and quite a bit of spiritual things there. And so I'm really excited for Elvira for getting her property back. And I hear they're now open for business. And their restaurant used to be famous for one of the most romantic restaurants on the Tulum beach. She has this whole wall that it's kind of a round wall that curves around the restaurant, and it had hundreds of candles lit in it every night. So just a really, and good food and good local food. And Elvira's been in the Yucatan and the Riviera Maya, I think, for over 20 years. So another longtime resident she came there from Italy. So really happy for her that she got her place back, and I'm really excited to go back again to there.
Anywhere else? You got one more secret spot for me? I mean, you did great on Punta Allen, but I'm just trying to see, okay, come on, one more, Margo?
Well, so now I'm going to move into town because one of the things that's really changed Tulum is that a lot of people are now staying in town, and town and the beach are pretty separate. I mean, you have to. It's.
And the town is it's really hip and groovy. It's groovy.
Really,
I don't know if that's still a trendy word anymore. Maybe I'm showing my age. But yeah, the Pueblo rocks, man.
The Pueblo rocks. And so after many, many years of living on the beach, I now live in town full time, and I love it. Some of my favorite places in town are Batey, which is to gringos, it'll look like Beatty. And they are famous for their mojitos. He took a Volkswagen and he made a sugarcane press out of a Volkswagen, and that's kind of one of his claims to fame. But my reason for really loving it is they have live music every single night, year round. And wow, Tulum has an unusual amount of great musicians from all over the world, as I mentioned before. So that's one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites is Campanella.
Stop! You're hurting me.
Oh my God. So we have we got gelato about 3 or 4 years ago. There's 2 gelato places, and I thought it was the best gelato in the world because I'd never had gelato. Well, now we have Campanella, and Campanella is their main thing is the gelato, but they also do Belgian waffles, which are much different than what Americans think of as waffles. But the one of the owners just won second place in an international gelato competition, and will go on to another competition in Italy next year. And
that's awesome! That's awesome. Wow, because their ice cream is the bomb.
It is the best ever. I didn't even know anything on this level existed, and I have gained 5 pounds. All of it delicious.
No, I put when they first opened, I went there and I put a review on TripAdvisor, and I also put it on Loco Gringo and said, you know what? If you're on a diet, don't go here.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really like about them is they have several options that are milk free. For example, they have a watermelon one that the only ingredient is watermelon and sugar, and they whip it for 18 hours. And you would swear to God that it has the heaviest cream you ever knew existed in it. And it doesn't have 1 drop of milk product in it, only water and sugar.
I like their pineapple basil, which I know for a lot of people who listen to this are going, oh, really? And no, it's delicious. It's really refreshing, especially when it's hot. The pineapple basil ice cream is awesome.
Really, really awesome. It's really true. So those are my 2 favorite places that I can think of off the top of my head. Unico just moved off of the beach into town. So they're one of our first real gourmet restaurants that are now in town. And wow, their food is really good. Also, Ginger is another gourmet restaurant in town. Those are both on my favorites lists.
Wow. No, they're all great places, and really, I mean, we're just scratching the surface here with some of the great food. It's not even touching some of the places for tacos and everything, but that we could go all afternoon talking about all the great food in Tulum.
Well, people, I'm a small town girl. I've lived in small towns all my life. Tulum is actually the biggest town I've ever lived in. And I like it. I can get on my bicycle and, one more plug. Antojitos Chiapanecos is a taco.
Yes.
And I can jump on my bicycle, go have, spend $3 on enough tacos and something to drink to last me. I mean, that's dinner for about $3. And then Campanella is right next door.
No,
so
that's it.
$8, I've had, the best tacos on the planet, the best ice cream on the planet, and I'm happy.
and you're in one of the best places on the planet.
Yeah, it's really fun.
That's
I have
great.
a great life. I'm really, really happy. I have friends from all over the world. I would say, I mean, I even have a friend in Transylvania. I honestly didn't know Transylvania existed. I thought it was just a fictional place, but it's a real place, and I know someone there.
That's cool. Well, Margo, I want to ask, how can people find you? What's if they want a massage, they want information, they want, are interested in the feel good way? What's the best way people can reach out to you?
myfeelgoodway.com.
All right. Well, what I'll do is for everybody who's listening in the show notes on our website, I'm going to have all the notes out, some of these great places that Margo's mentioned. We'll have her links over to her website and her email address. And of course, you can always ask me. If you can't track down Margo, ask me and I'll hook you up with her. Margo, I can't thank you enough. Wow, this is great.
Really, thank you, Kay. It's really been fun. I wanted to also add Facebook, of course, is
Facebook.
Communicate. And so I'm Margo Guenther on Facebook, and My Feel Good Way I also have as a Facebook page. It's really been a pleasure, Kay. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Oh, well, thank you. And let's make a date sometime. We'll make a future date, but a promise that we're going to meet for ice cream.
You got it, baby. Only if we can have tacos first.
Okay, tacos and ice cream. You got it. Wow. Thanks so much.
Allen.
A big thanks to Margo and a big thanks to all of you for tuning in today. Please visit our website for today's show notes, locogringo.com/podcasts. And you will have a list of the restaurants that Margo recommended. We've got some information. We link over to Punta Allen so you can take an adventuresome trip. If we can do anything to make your stay here in the Riviera Maya special, please let us know. We've got full concierge service, and our team's going to help you plan an absolutely fabulous place to stay and inside local tips and tricks to make sure that you have a once-in-a-lifetime experience here in the Riviera Maya in Yucatan. If you have any questions, try and track Margo down, or need anything else, please, I invite you to email me, askkay@locogringo.com. Until next week, hasta la vista.
Thanks for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe. For links, show notes, and more information, head on over to locogringo.com or give us a call toll-free at 800-478-0081.
Porque se tragó la luna, estaba enferma la rana, su madre soba que soba, dedos de pluma la panza, pensó ranita que luna era una toronja blanca, y aunque la luna es de leche, la leche estaba cortada, croa, croa.